Hello, this is Max. A space-time vortex pulls a scientist, his assistant, and a survivalist into a world where past, present, and future are intertwined. Don't forget to subscribe. In the opening scene of the movie, we witness a man in a spacesuit who is lost in a dark, damp, and swampy terrain. Panic sets in as he starts running through the water and the dense trees surrounding him. Eventually, he stumbles and falls into the water with a splash. As he gets back up, we can see a menacing dinosaur approaching him, visible in the reflection of his visor. In the next scene, we transition to a TV talk show where paleontologist Rick Marshall is being interviewed by the host, Matt Lauer.
It was back in Oslo.
Marshall is attempting to promote his new book, in which he claims that it's possible for humanity to travel across dimensions into other worlds where all timelines are combined. The skeptical host, Matt Lauer, challenges Marshall's ideas, leading to a heated exchange. The situation escalates when Lauer refuses to allow Marshall to smoke a pipe on set. In a fit of frustration, Marshall initially walks off, but he quickly returns and physically confronts Lauer. Next, the scene transitions to what appears to be a lecture in a darkened room where Marshall is passionately explaining his theory once more. However, as he switches on the lights, it becomes evident that it's just a classroom, and his students start mocking him.
Do dinosaurs have boobs?
Everybody out of here. Get out of here.
Frustrated, Marshall dismisses the class. It's at this point that a young woman named Holly Cantrell enters the room. She's from the UK and has sought him out because she genuinely believes in his theories. Marshall, now less certain, engages in a conversation with her. Holly presents him with a fossil that dates back millions of years and includes an imprint of his lighter.
Captain Kirk's nipples.
Later, in Marshall's apartment, he has fallen into a food coma, surrounded by empty junk food wrappers. Holly arrives and discovers him in this state. She also notices his tachyon amplifier, the device he believes can facilitate interdimensional travel. When she turns it on, it unexpectedly emits the sound of a showtune song. After convincing Marshall to test the amplifier with her, they find themselves out in the desert. In the desert, they stop at a shop where they meet its owner, Will Stanton. Will tries to sell them various fireworks and assorted knickknacks, but they politely decline. Instead, they inquire about a cave and ask him to guide them to one.
Cave ride begins!
Inside the cave, Stanton is paddling a dinghy along a stream with enthusiasm. He tries to engage Marshall and Holly with dramatic tales and props, but they are more focused on monitoring the levels of tachyon energy, which irritates him. As the signals intensify, Marshall increases the power of his machine. This leads to what appears to be a massive earthquake initiated by the amplifier, described by Marshall as the greatest ever known. The stream turns into a raging torrent, and the dinghy is carried along it at increasing speed, eventually losing the amplifier. The three of them are sent hurtling over the edge of a sheer drop, plummeting into an abyss. They awaken in a vast sandy desert, with numerous other celestial bodies visible in the sky, confirming Marshall's theory about time and dimension travel. They come across a Viking ship with a plane crashed into it. Marshall starts filming a video blog of their journey, but their recording is interrupted by a strange sound. Rushing to the top of a dune, they spot two ape-like creatures attempting to harm another creature. Stanton tries to divert their attention by showing them his lighter.
Fire. Dance with oath!
Behind an ancient monument, they discover the intended victim of the execution, Chaka, hiding. The three adventurers manage to coax Chaka out and attempt to befriend him. Holly successfully communicates with him and learns his name. However, Marshall inadvertently upsets Chaka, leading to a brief chase. The chase ends when they all fall through a hole in the desert floor and into a cave. Inside the cave, Holly conveys to Chaka that Marshall is a great chief, which seems to convince and calm their hairy companion. The peace inside the cave is abruptly shattered when they are all ensnared in the air by vines there in a feeding station. They attempt to swing across the cave to free themselves but are confronted by a T-Rex. In the ensuing attack, the vines are broken and the group escapes. They sprint along a path with the dinosaur hot on their heels. Crossing a narrow bridge, they believe they've evaded it. Marshall starts taunting the T-Rex, suggesting its brain is no bigger than a walnut. However, to their surprise, the T-Rex leaps over the gap and continues its pursuit. They quickly seek refuge in another cave with a narrower entrance. Unable to enter, the predator eventually gives up and departs, leaving them coated in its saliva. Inside the cave, they discover the skeletal remains of the previous human occupants. Before bedding down for the night, they debate whether Chaka should be allowed to stay, with Marshall initially against the idea. Holly questions the Pekuni about why he was nearly killed, and he claims it was part of a plot to overthrow him. They decide to let him stay. The following day, the group is desperate for food. Marshall is busy recording a video log about how to cook and serve Chaka. However, Chaka returns with large fruits, which Marshall opens to find them filled with insects. Chaka begins eating them and asks if they are now friends. Suddenly, Marshall starts sensing a message being transmitted directly into his brain. He follows his instincts, with his friends following him, leading them to an ancient, seemingly abandoned temple with a giant vibrating crystal at its center. Stanton and Marshall place their hands on the crystal and start singing. They are interrupted by Chaka, who tries to warn them about something in their midst, but they only hear the words chorizo taco. Chaka was trying to warn them about the Sleestaks, a group of lizard-like creatures, who emerge and surround them. Marshall reacts by using the light from Holly's belt buckle to shine onto the eyes of nearby statues, which opens a triangular-shaped portal in the previously flat crystal. They enter it, thinking they are now safe. Once the door closes, they find themselves on a floating crystal with another creature, this one wearing a tunic. He introduces himself as Enoch and expresses respect for Marshall's work. Enoch warns them about an exiled creature named Zarn who seeks to take over Earth. Enoch suggests that the impending takeover by Zarn can be prevented with the help of Marshall's amplifier. He claims the amplifier is nearby, but he must remain in the pylon to protect his crystals. As they set off to find the amplifier, Stanton expresses skepticism, remarking that they should never trust a man in a tunic. To protect themselves from the dinosaurs, Marshall tries an unconventional approach by dousing himself in their urine and even attempting to drink some.
A second splash.
However, it doesn't deter the dinosaurs. They reach an area near the Golden Gate Bridge where they encounter numerous smaller dinosaurs attacking an ice cream seller, with two larger ones more interested in them. A chase ensues, with Marshall as their primary target. He tries to divert their attention by posing as a statue and later hides in a stretch hummer. Unfortunately, these tactics don't work, but when Marshall finds a canister of liquid nitrogen, he has an idea. They use an ancient catapult to launch the canister into the air and down the throat of the Allosaurus, causing it to explode. To their surprise, the amplifier had been inside its stomach all along. However, before they can retrieve it, a pteranodon swoops down, snatches the amplifier, and carries it away while the chorus line plays in the background. Marshall is on the brink of giving up, but his friends are frustrated by his defeatism. After some thought, he returns to their campfire, armed with a banjo, and starts singing. While he sings, a mosquito-like bug lands on his shoulder and begins to suck his blood. It grows larger and larger, draining him of blood until Marshall becomes weak and pale. Within moments, he collapses onto his back, crushing the now enormous, blood-filled insect. The following day, the group embarks on a climb up a volcano to reach the amplifier, but they encounter a nest of pteranodon eggs at the top, blocking their path. Stanton and Chaka are reluctant to help, so Marshall carefully navigates between the eggs to retrieve the vital piece of equipment. As he picks it up, the music stops and the eggs start to hatch. Holly suggests that the music was a lullaby, so Marshall starts singing with support from the others, including Chaka. He successfully returns with the amplifier, and they celebrate their accomplishment. They find an abandoned motel and have a party around its pool. Chaka offers them a drink from a nearby fruit tree. While the gentlemen enjoy themselves, Holly goes off to explore the area with the amplifier. They are approached by a giant crab, which is suddenly sucked into the ground and then expelled, fully cooked and in pieces. They enjoy the crab claws and express their feelings for each other. In a nearby glade filled with crystals, Holly encounters Zarn, who warns her that Enoch is the one they should fear, as he plans to lead an army of Sleestak to seize Earth. Before he can finish speaking, Enoch's light beam strikes him, and Holly is captured by one of his lizard-like followers. Realizing Holly has been taken, the three others set off to rescue her. Inside a cave, Stanton and Marshall mistakenly believe they are witnessing two lizards mating, but they are actually shedding their skins. The men don these skins and they're going to go rescue Holly. They reveal their true selves and are sentenced to death for trying to help Enoch, who was banished and forced to wear the tunic as punishment. A struggle ensues, during which Marshall rescues Holly from a cage above a fiery pit. After bringing her to relative safety, she kisses him passionately. They are interrupted by Enoch, who uses his powers to redirect the T-Rex's attention toward Marshall once more. He sends Holly away with harsh words.
Get. You're ugly.
With Stanton fearful and unwilling to help, Marshall grabs a stick and pole vaults himself for the dinosaur and, somewhat implausibly, straight down its throat. As Holly and Stanton start to fight back against the Sleestack, Marshall returns riding the T-Rex. With this mighty ally, they win the battle, although the others are disturbed to find out exactly how Marshall made his way out of the dinosaur's body.
Oh my God!
Yes, he pooped me out.
In the final scenes of the film, back in the pylon, the friends confront Enoch. A fight ensues, during which a crystal is dislodged, causing the opening back to Earth to flicker out. Marshall takes a small crystal from Holly's necklace and uses it to replace the lost one. Holding hands, Marshall and Holly head toward the exit, leaving Stanton behind, who has decided to stay in this new world. In the closing sequences of the film, Stanton and Chaka arrive at Chaka's settlement to a warm reception. Stanton is surrounded by a group of scantily clad females who express curiosity about him. Contrary to what Chaka had previously stated, the females are stunning, and Stanton is content with his decision to stay. Meanwhile, back in the real world, Marshall reveals his feelings for Holly in the cave. They also inform Stanton's colleague about his decision to remain. Finally, Marshall returns to the same TV show, reveling in his success. He presents the host with a dinosaur egg and unveils his new book, titled Matt Lauer Can... This time, it is the host who loses his temper and attempts to wrestle with his mocking guest. As the credits roll, the film concludes with a shot of the abandoned dinosaur egg shaking and ready to hatch, hinting at further adventures to come. If you are interested in such films, please proceed to the next video on the screen and also share your thoughts about this film in the comments. Give us a like and subscribe. Goodbye.